Welcome back, everybody. I have Mr. Singdeath on the line. Sir,
Uh,
welcome.
Thanks. Hi.
How are you?
Oh, the camera's over here.
Yes.
I'm pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good, and it's good to catch up. We haven't talked in quite a while. You are now a married man, of course. So,
Uh, yeah, it's been like a year now, actually. 1 year
how
and a
is
little
it
bit.
possible? That feels like time being stretched in some weird way.
I know, right?
How is life as a married man? Singdeath.
I don't really feel that it's different from before. I don't know. We always
Yeah.
ever since we've been together, we lived together and shit. There wasn't like a big change or anything. So nothing changed except her last name, and we put a new plaque on the door. And when the mailman comes and asks for well, my last name but her first name, I'm still like, oh yeah, right. But other than that, it didn't. Nothing changed really.
Yeah,
Still all
that's my
good.
naive impression of, if you're already living together for years, right? You already know
Yeah.
each other, you have
Yeah.
like a stable relationship. The step of marriage to me almost seems like a cool celebration thing for sure, but it's not going to magically change the way the day-to-day plays, right?
Exactly. Like there was no okay, things are different now. Like I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. The meal stays
I
different and
exactly. Like she just looks at you out of the corner of her eye with like a murderous glare. No, that doesn't happen. It's all good.
yeah.
It's actually that's my second marriage, and the first one also didn't. Eh. So I can compare them. The first year, and I think in the first marriage, it changed a little bit actually after being married for her because she was like, "Oh, right, this dude, right? Legally, right? No,
Yeah, yeah.
but no, with Judith, everything's cool, so we're
Cool,
good.
man. Also,
Yeah,
Michelle Bounty, hello, guys. I hope everybody enjoys the convo. We might not be able to get to all comments, but I hope you dig it. Dude, you're looking good. I like the beard, man. It's a good look.
thanks. I had it long for a long time, and then I shortened it for a bit and realized I looked like I was like, I don't know, in my 20s or something, which
I
isn't
always
really a
say
look
the
I'm going
beard is
for.
the man's makeup. You look like you
Yeah.
look a bit like undressed without it. Not you specifically, but like guys
Well,
in general.
you can picture me however you want to picture me. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah,
If you want
dressed
to
or
undress
otherwise.
me in your mind, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I guess makeup you could change every day. The beard isn't like I'm not really gonna change it around every day because
yeah,
you want to get to a certain length and whatever. But to be honest, I've always kind of had a beard, and it's never been like I don't sit down and plan like, oh, I'm gonna grow
think
it
about
long
it.
now or whatever.
Yeah,
It just kind of
it's
like,
just there.
yeah, yeah. I look up one morning and I'm like, oh shit, oh, this has gotten well, okay. Well, I might need to trim it down.
Yeah,
I got one of those trimmers off Amazon and just use it whenever.
right.
Yeah,
But let's
I don't
move on
know.
from this like weird facial hair tangent into
Yeah,
gaming for a bit, because you're like
all
an
right.
old time gamer, isn't? Aren't you? Like
Well,
you
yeah,
were gaming from
yeah.
early on in life.
Well, pretty much since like I'll say 85, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's
Mm.
like around 5 or 6. Commodore 64 back in the
Bro,
day,
yeah,
the,
old
yeah,
school.
like the Atari
Yeah,
2600,
yeah. We. By the
Amiga
way, Michelle
500.
is talking. Sorry to cut you off. Michelle is talking about your guitars. We will get to music because
Alright,
we'll
yeah,
geek out about that for sure. But yeah, so you
yeah.
started early on. For you, how have games changed since then? Like, how do you view games? Is it different for you now?
The graphics changed a little bit, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
That's like I mean, obviously, there's a huge change, but I have changed as well as a
yes.
gamer. I know my taste has changed over the years. I don't know. Um, I, I think lately I've been reminiscing about games back then, games now, and I'll have to say I used to get more excited, to be honest. Like, and that might be something that faded with age, but um, I don't know. I don't get that. you know, when you get that stoked for a new game and it finally comes out and you like want to skip school for 3 weeks. So you could,
Yes.
that's actually what I did with like Ocarina of Time Zelda, right? Like I actually
Yeah.
well, I dropped high school for like 2 weeks and you know, my parents did like I would leave
Yeah.
the house and then my mom would go to work and I'd just turn around and come back in and
Dude,
just
it's
play
funny
Zelda.
you mentioned that because I've had that with a few games earlier in life as well. Like,
Yeah.
it comes to mind Final Fantasy X for me was like that, where I
Yeah.
actually like just skipped work for that. And even when the remake came out, so you know, when it came out originally, it was school I was skipping. When the remake came out, I was skipping work for that. So, but you know, it's been a
Your
while
employer's not
actually.
watching right now, right?
It's fine. It's all we're
All right.
we're good there. But you know, I haven't felt about a game in quite a while. Like I felt about those games. I don't know if games are hitting differently, as kids say nowadays, right? Or it's hitting different in some way.
Well, I read some articles on kind of becoming a little bit tired of gaming and stuff. Like I was looking
Mm,
into that and I was like, am I changing? Are games changing? What's going on? I think as you become an adult,
yeah,
like
I think to be honest,
you
we
know,
we
there's
just
like
want to do more stuff as well, right? Isn't that
yeah, yeah.
like there's more stuff we want to do too?
And you get used to like different reward systems in real life,
Yeah,
like you know landing your first big job with a huge payout and whatever, and you know that kind of sends your nerve ends tingling in a way that just Call of Duty maybe used to do for me when that popped, but like
yeah,
you know real life catches up to you and then you get real life achievements. They just feel different from video games. I mean, I used to have those back in the day too, like landing my first kickflip or something.
right.
Just you know, felt better than whatever doing it in Tony Hawk or whatever.
Uh
But
huh. Yeah,
they were always a part of life, and or at least of my life, and like
yeah.
a super fun thing to do. And
Hmm.
it's become a little bit less fun. I, as of late, I've just been using them to kind of like connect with people, like you and I and Reg are going to
Yeah.
play, or I've had Wednesdays and Sundays, like a group of 10 guys that play Counter Strike. Actually,
Nice, nice. Pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. Me and my buddy play like Saturday mornings. We play Call of Duty or whatever. So it's just
Yeah.
like especially now in Corona times, it's kind of like a way to
It's
just
a
hang
great
out with
social
people and be
thing.
fun.
Dude, I
Yeah.
met like um well technically like two girlfriends through Dota too. So, you know, you
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of social through games for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And well, obviously back in the day that didn't used to happen. I think that changed with Doom and the multiplayer coming era hitting and whatever. And I just haven't been doing too much single player gaming. I've been
Hmm.
waiting for that game that you know grabs me again and
Yeah.
pulls me back
I
in.
think
And
Ghost of
well,
Tsushima was one where it,
yeah,
you know, that was close to being that level for me.
yeah, I was really well. I was stoked for Cyberpunk
Yeah.
when I first heard
We
about it,
don't
and
talk
then
about
that
Cyberpunk.
waned. Yeah, exactly, it waned off, and like
To
I
be fair,
think
I had a
I
good amount of
yeah.
fun with it, but it was just not measuring up to, you know, the
I was thinking about it
immersion.
today in the shower. Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
just
and I was thinking
casually
about it.
in the
Well, no,
shower.
I was like, I was wondering if we were gonna talk about Cyberpunk today. So I was like, dude, for me, it's like a meal, like, and the concept of a great meal is not good enough. I actually need the meal to perform and to
Yes.
hit. Like it needs to be, and that just didn't happen. I mean, I was like, when I was reading the menu, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Cyberpunk, that sounds like a nice meal, but eating it,
It was
not
one
so
of
much.
those like it was pretty nice, but I'm not necessarily gonna go out of my way to have it. You know, it's not worth a 50-minute drive
Yeah.
kind of meal. Does that make sense?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'd eat it if it was like, you know, pretty much out your front door, 2 feet to the left, and it was gonna be like, you know, three
Even
bucks or
like it's
whatever.
a good midweek meal, you know? Like it's a
Yeah,
solid midweek meal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wasn't sold on the setting so much either. I don't know, maybe Masquerade Bloodlines too.
Maybe
Maybe
that's
that
why I
was
enjoyed it a bit more perhaps cuz I did like the setting a lot and like
yeah,
the actual
yeah.
world was pretty dope.
We're gonna play Warhammer later. I'm more of
Yeah.
like Orc Slayer
fantasy
than I
setting.
am. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
Skyrim
that's
was my
fair.
Yeah, Skyrim was my big thing. Elder Scrolls, you know, it kind of like morphed from like Zelda over to those like more hardcore role playing games,
Yeah,
pretty much as
yeah.
far as single player goes, anyway. Yeah,
Yeah, dude, I agree. Like the achievements thing Danny is saying in chat. Well, he says it's a waste of life. You know, some people love that stuff, and that's fine. But for me, adapting the way you play based on achievements just seems dumb. You know, because
yeah,
it's like you're being led like a sheep to play in this particular way. They, I don't know. It's kind
yeah.
of weird.
Like make the game fun, so
Yes.
I want to play it. Don't give me a fucking checklist
Yeah,
that I have to,
exactly.
like that's
Dude.
how I feel. Like
Oh, yeah,
it's like,
exactly. But
what are my to dos today? Oh man,
yeah.
okay, well,
You
kill
know,
that
it's funny
guy, then go
because
get.
I do I do the opposite, dude. For for work I have like a thing I write on, right? Every day
Yeah,
for work.
yeah.
But instead of doing to-do lists, I do what I call done lists. So I actually
Yep.
write down the shit that I got done.
Mhm.
Um because then at the end of the day, at the end of the workday, I look at that and I'm like, it's I got some shit done, right? Even if it
Yeah.
wasn't amazing. So that's how I do it. Do you do lists like that?
Well, I mean, my work is extremely stressful. Like I manage over 100. Well, no, dude, I manage over 100 people, so
Oh,
I have to-do lists out the wazoo, and if I don't have those,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't feel right. I need those to,
You need that
have
shit.
an overview of what needs to be going on and
Someone
who
is
is doing
saying
what or
F
whatever.
Jira in chat. I work with Jira quite a bit. It sucks. I agree with you. But
Yeah.
but dude, you
So
talked about. Sorry, go on before I move on.
So I try to in my like spare time, I try to stay away from to-do lists and I just want to enjoy things without
Hmm.
having like a checklist that I need to work off. So whenever a game is doing that to me, I'm like, all right, I'm out. Make the
Yeah,
game fun, so I
yeah,
actually want to
yeah. If
enjoy
it
it and
becomes
don't
work, it's
force
like,
me.
what are we doing here? I'm paying for this shit.
I was Exactly, like, I don't know, man. I was just playing Far Cry Primal today for
Yeah,
whatever reason. I don't know. I was like really lost on what to play. I'm having like kind of a drought. There's nothing coming out for me really. So I was like going through the back catalog and I was talking to Reg about it. He never finished it either. Neither did I. So I was watching Carrick's review on it. He said it was like he had a blast with it. So I went into it and it's that formulaic thing where you're just like, all right, this outpost, and I go over here, then I do
yeah.
this, then I do that, then I do this to level up that, and I don't know. I don't know. Not so much.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I do like it compared to other Far Cries, but I just those games in general are pretty formulaic. So
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed Far Cry 3, I believe it was,
3 is
with
probably the best one
Oz
because
or
yeah,
whatever it
with
was.
yeah, exactly. The guy from Better Call Saul, right?
Yeah, and I felt like the stealth in that game worked for me.
Hmm.
I don't know. I always like in the new ones, I always get spotted unless I'm using sniper rifles out
Immediately.
the very back,
You
and
get
yeah,
spotted immediately. They
and I want to
know
sneak. I
at
actually
any
want to
point
sneak
in
in those
time
games.
where you are. You play
Yeah,
Far Cry 5, dude. It doesn't matter if you're in one of their vans or
yeah.
trucks, whatever. They know where you are, dude, with
Yeah, you
precision.
get the
And
visual
not
indicator.
only the enemy,
Yeah,
but the fucking
yeah.
bears in the jungle know where you are, dude, and they're coming for you. Okay, they're,
It's funny that, dude. It's funny you would mention that because I was playing Primal today, right? And like, I want to like calm down and chill out and explore the
nope,
world, and I'm like, give me a fucking break, man. There's eagles coming down. There's fucking bears
dude.
over there. There's wolves running at me. Then there's cavemen. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Chill out. Just I want to get over there to that
Yeah,
cave and see what's
yeah,
inside it.
yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to deal
Dude,
with 50 things till I even get there. I don't have
Ubisoft has
like
this hard
attention
limit
deficit. I'm
of
fine.
like stuff happening around you. If it's been 30 seconds and nothing has attacked you, they have to spawn something.
Yeah,
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 that's an issue
yeah.
with them. But dude, just a quick tangent because you mentioned skateboarding and we give you a lot of shit, right? Because you
I
talk
brought
about
it on myself.
skateboarding.
I brought it on myself. Why did I do that? I shouldn't have
Cards
done
on the table.
it. Yeah.
I was also a skater kid, dude.
All right.
Yeah, I did when I was a teen. I did skateboard.
Yeah.
This is when I was
Yeah.
living in Ibiza. in Spain,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had skater friends, all the jazz, right? We bought the shoes, the clothes, we did the whole thing. I never got super far with it. I did learn how to ollie fairly
Mhm.
well, and like good balance and going down slopes and shit. But I never managed to fully land a kickflip. So when you said the first time you landed a kickflip, I actually felt a bit jealous of you.
No.
So just
Okay.
leveling with you now, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the reason, I mean, I like skateboarding, don't get me wrong. When I was saying I brought it on myself, it's this inside joke,
Yeah.
maybe for the viewers, this inside joke I have with Johnny and Reg. There's this coffee place that I go to. Like I work for the city. Like I have a fairly like not suit and tie, but pretty dress up kind of job. And
Yeah.
then I go to this coffee place and I roll up my sleeves and I go there. And every time I go there, there's a skateboard shop across the street. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, you get the skateboard shop discount." I'm like, I don't fucking work at the skateboard store. Sorry. And they're just like, "Oh, sorry, man. You
Yeah.
just look so gnarly." I'm like, all right.
Wow. Yeah. Judgmental, right? All the tats.
Yeah, right? Like, you got some tats and you got a nose ring there going on, you must be
Skater.
the skateboard salesman. Yeah, exactly. I mean, good on them for,
Yeah.
not thinking I'm like a dust dusty desk jockey, I'll call it, but,
Right.
I am.
But hey, at least the city hired you in spite of your tattoos. So at least they
Yeah.
weren't judgmental about it.
No, they weren't. No,
Or
no,
did
and
you hide it
I
like the
don't feel.
first day you're like, cuff to
No, well,
neck?
I wore like a long sleeve shirt,
Yeah.
but when I put my arms up like this, they usually slide up. And actually, the lady who interviewed me said that she saw, like, she told me after. I don't care, I don't.
Yeah.
If other people care and wouldn't hire me because of it, it's probably not a place I
I
want to
feel
work
like
at
it used to
anyway.
be
So
like that,
yeah,
at least where I come from in well, like
yeah,
Brazil and stuff. And I think even Spain, probably not London, but
mm.
that used to be a thing. Like, hey, hide your
Oh,
tats.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it still is. People are judgmental. Like I get comments like from the place I used to work at, like a coworker would be like, "Oh, I never thought someone like you would be such a nice person." I'm like, "What's someone like me?" And they're like, "Well, with the
Yeah.
tattoos and
With
the you
someone with
like you do drugs."
satanic
I'm like,
tendencies, probably.
"Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, oh yeah, I just got finished sacrificing some babies, but
Yeah, yeah. Oh, jeez.
yeah." And it's not like a generational thing. Even that person was like my age, and
Right.
I was like, "Oh, okay, right." Like, I don't know. I've
But
had
to
an
bring it
elderly
back
man
to
come up to me and try to tie me up on my nose ring like a bull, he was saying
uh-huh.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Weird people.
Yeah, I think we're kind of past that. Most people just find tats cool nowadays, I think.
Yeah,
Or like it's fine
yeah,
or they don't care about it. So I think you're
yeah.
good.
It's kind of like become like I don't know. It's become more of a I don't want to
Like an
say
accessory.
hipster,
Like
but it's
hey, if
like
you wear
yeah,
some weird
yeah,
glasses,
yeah, yeah.
okay, whatever, right?
Exactly. I never really well, for me, it was never really a question whether to do it or not, because growing up, always playing in punk and metal bands, and my dad listened to like Metallica, AC/DC, riding a Harley and whatever, and like all his friends were like in the biker scene and stuff, so it wasn't
Yeah, it's just
um
what you do, right? In that
yeah,
setting.
it's like a normal part. When I was like 15, I got my first tat, and all my friends were like, "Well, finally, right?" So
Mm.
it just was a part of that culture that I'm from. So it wasn't like a
Was it
conscious
like
choice. Like
so you said New Jersey, right? Is where you grew up?
Vancouver.
Oh, I don't know. Where did I get New Jersey from?
I
Sorry,
don't know,
totally
man.
different. Totally
It's
different
fine though.
problem. But how was it, growing up in Vancouver? What kind of environment was it?
Well, um, well, so I was born in Germany, and for the first years of my life, we lived in like a fairly small town, village,
Okay.
you could call it, and then my parents moved. Well, my dad's a soldier, and my parents and I moved to like Canada, Vancouver, and we lived in like a little outside part of Vancouver called Surrey,
Mm.
and Surrey has one of the highest crime rates I think in North America.
Oh,
So
wait, is it
yeah,
like ghetto like?
yeah. Surrey's
Whoa.
pretty ghetto. Sorry, Surrey. I don't know if anybody's watching from
Yeah,
Surrey,
maybe it's
BC,
gotten
but
better over the years.
no, 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 it hasn't. Surrey's ghetto, right? So that's fine though. It was kind of like eh, pretty hardcore growing up there, actually. But it kind of toughens you up, and not necessarily in a bad way. Like, kind of, makes you less afraid of things, and the world doesn't end if somebody pushes you or whatever.
Right.
So,
Well, at the very least, it gave you some perspective on things, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
while
yeah,
someone maybe some people your age maybe well at the time maybe may have been worrying about the new video game coming out. You may have been like, dude,
yeah.
I'm trying to like
I was
not get beat up or something on the street. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you were worried about some asshole chasing you home from school, or
Yeah,
some one of your friends maybe stealing your PlayStation to sell it for
dude.
drug
Yeah.
money or something.
By the way,
So those are,
I also had that growing up because I think you know
yeah,
this. I grew up in Brazil, and
yeah.
so
That's a
the
fairly
city
sheltered
was
place.
well, the city was Porto Alegre. So this is in the south.
Mm,
It's in the scheme of things, it's a pretty decent place compared to
yeah,
a lot of Brazil. But there's a lot of homeless, a lot of like street violence and stuff. And
yeah.
I remember as a kid, at 12 years old, I moved away from Brazil, so I didn't stay long. But I remember in high school, my dad walked me to school every day.
Mm,
When I was old enough to walk back home by myself, I was actually scared to death because there was this bully in school that like had my name on his list, and
oh
he
yeah.
used to eye me, like chase me down on the street and stuff. I
Uh,
used to like have to rush through pedestrian crossings and stuff because we had these huge pedestrian crossings. So if you didn't make it, you had to wait like 5 minutes for the next
mm, yeah,
crossing. Does that make sense? So it
yep.
was almost like in the movies where you see the train and you like, I have to beat the train so that the person chasing me
Otherwise,
stays
yeah,
behind.
yeah,
It was literally like that at times with that
yeah.
dude. So I can kind of sympathize, but it probably wasn't as bad for sure as what you're
Oh
talking about.
yeah, I don't exactly. I learned fairly early on how to deal with bullies from my dad. So, that wasn't really an issue anymore. I think in um grade 4 or 5, there was this kid always picking on me and bullying me, and then well, I don't want to it's not, violence isn't
Right.
a valid thing to solve problems with, but it solved well, I punched him, right? And that was the end of him bullying me for the rest of forever. So,
Well, some of the strategies to just like get by in high school when you're being bullied
yeah.
don't translate well into later life
Into
necessarily.
adult life?
Yeah.
No, obviously not. Like, "Oh, this guy was rude to me at work, so I punched his
Right.
lights out." That's not gonna work. It did work in grade 4, however.
Huh.
Like,
Yeah.
he pushes you around and you push him back, and that's the end of that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
'Cause people, like, well, especially bullies, they have that predatory thing, right? They're
Mhm.
already looking for if you're slouching, if you're not making eye contact, and they just kinda have, like, a pretty keen sense for figuring out who's
Looking
gonna
for
be,
that
like, a little bit
weakness in
weak
someone.
and
Yeah.
susceptible to what they're gonna do, right? So,
Yeah.
if they push towards you, you push up against it, and my experience was they'll leave you alone, right? They might, they're not gonna like you, you're not gonna like them, but at least they're gonna leave you alone. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a hard time. I think it's getting better from what I hear nowadays, or at least I hope that it doesn't happen as often. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's changing a little bit, right? It's also moving into like online, like bullying is like happening on the internet and kids are making fun of each other there. We get a lot of that cyber mobbing kind of
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah,
cyber bullying
it's
and
taking a
shit like
different
that,
shape for sure.
Yeah.
Barn
Yeah.
Dog, what's
Also,
up?
really
Hello.
it depends on, I guess, where you are in the world.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
it'll be
I'm sure
different.
there's places. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's places where kids are still punching each other's lights out.
But when you have stuff like that going on, were games like a good escape for you? Like was that maybe one of the reasons you kind of picked up gaming because like, to escape a bit from that stuff?
Um, nah, I think music was always like more of an
Mm,
escape, more of a creative medium, and you know, games were just fun. They
yeah,
they were fun, right?
yeah.
And like, you remember James Bond, like GoldenEye on the N64 back in the day, man? Like after high school, my friends used to come over, and my TV was like fucking yay big, right? And then we would go four people split screen, so you had about stamp size on the screen that you were actually. And then we used to sit there and like, drink Coke and just shoot each other and have fun and punch each other in the
Yeah.
arm and make some jokes, stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
or Tony Hawk, man.
Oh,
Tony Hawk
dude.
1 and 2 PlayStation. That was like, I would go to Devin's or Rob's house for like hours after high school, and we just try to beat each other's scores and stuff, and then go out to the garage, play some metal, and then come back in and play more of
That's
that.
awesome,
Actually, I
dude.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I miss those times. I miss those times. Like, now it's like work all day, come home,
Yeah.
exercise, eat healthy, go shopping, go to sleep. That's it.
And then you have 2
I
hours to
miss
like play 2 maps of whatever game you wanna.
I miss going to high school and playing metal and then playing Tony Hawk and having my mom yell at me for not
Yeah.
cleaning up my room.
Dude, that's amazing. And we share the music thing for sure. I think
Yeah.
you've done like gigs, like paid gigs and everything, right?
Yeah, albums and stuff too. Yeah, like, I don't know, I've been doing music, like, I always, I guess, like,
Yeah.
some of the first photos of me are, like, with a cowboy hat and, like, a plastic guitar. I think I was, like, 2 or whatever, and, always been singing and playing guitar. My mom put me in, like, some kind of music school when I was little, where I learned like basics on piano and
Mm.
xylophone and notes and stuff like that. But I thought, I found it kind of boring, and I didn't want to go anymore. And
On the piano
so,
track,
well, yeah, and
the
the
classic
xylophone
stuff.
and learning the notes and stuff. I
Yeah.
was super not interested in that. It was like, oh, okay, I have to go to music school, lame, right? So I was like fairly young. Like, it started when I was like 6 or 7, I think. So, like, now looking back, I'm like, "Oh, I could have been a classical pianist," right? But, like,
Wow.
I just didn't want
Could you
to, right?
though? Like
But
if
I
you
was
didn't enjoy, right? The moment to moment.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly. Well, they could have forced me to
yeah, true,
just
true.
become perfect 10,000 hours. But you know that theory about everything you do for
Yeah,
10,000
yeah.
hours or whatever. But, so nah, man. I kept playing music, but I didn't wanna do the whole music school thing, and
Yeah.
then when I was, like, you know, 13, 14, bought my first electric guitar, started jamming with people after school and just doing that, singing, hanging out, meeting people, meeting girls, also, over
Well,
being
that
in
that
bands and
that's
stuff.
always a push, right? I remember when I started playing in a band and when I did my first concert. That
Yeah,
it was actually late in life. It was at 18 in when I started university.
yeah,
And no, actually, I'm lying. I did some other concerts as a teen, but like the first serious one where I had a crowd, and
yeah,
that was the first taste of like how to say like opposite sex attention that I got. And so from
mhm,
there it was just like a positive feedback loop where
yeah,
because of that I just did the music thing more because of
mhm.
that reward thing. So that I think that was that's a big thing for every boy when they start like, oh, if I do this right, la, la, la,
Okay,
right,
that works.
there's a
That's right.
reaction there.
Yeah.
But then so it starts like that, but then it goes deeper like, oh, I can cause like a response in people. So not just like getting girls,
Mhm.
let's say, but like you can cause emotions in people or
Yeah.
just like have people feel pumped with what you're doing. So I think that's the magic of it for me. And then the other thing was playing with people. There's something about being in a room with other people and playing.
Yeah.
There's a chemistry thing that it's not the
Mhm.
same if you're and I do most of my music just by myself, so I just record by
Yep.
myself. But there's something about those days when I used to play with people in a room. There's some fucking magic there, man. because you're
Yeah.
looking at each other, you're feeling everybody out, right? There's some connection there.
Yeah, I don't even know how I'd explain it. There's people that I have that with, and then there's people where I couldn't find
Yes.
that level of connection. And I remember like one of my favorite metal bands I used to play in Nihil Obstat. Me and this guy named Ollie, and people would call us the Terror Twins because like we were just hard to handle at parties and stuff. It was pretty fun. There was such a connection. Like when we were standing in places like screaming our heads off and stuff, and all the notes met and our voices met, there was like
Yeah.
almost a form of intimacy. Well, not almost. It is a form
Yeah.
of intimacy, right?
It is,
And
dude.
but yeah,
And it's immediate. It's so crazy because I've had the experience of, as you say, not clicking with people, and like it just
Yeah.
doesn't flow, right? You're
Yeah.
like you're playing stuff, but you're going over the motions. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel anything. And then other times, it's like, whoa, it's popping, right? Like you do
Yeah,
something, they do
exactly.
something in response, and it's like, whoa. And what's crazy is you
Yeah.
don't even need to speak the same language, dude. I've had the experience in
That's
my
true.
master
Yeah,
course
yeah.
of like, we had like this music club thing where we went in and we played. People barely spoke English, some of them, and we just like we understood each other, like, oh, you do that, I do this, it's like it's going. It's great.
Yeah. But for me, it wasn't so much. Well, you said, like causing feelings in other people. Also, like, there's this communication aspect in it. But for me, it was more about like catharsis, I guess, like
Like an
getting out, like,
expression of your
yeah,
inner
exactly.
world.
Having like a place to vent and a place to put feelings that have no space
Yes.
in a socially
And I think
accepted
you might
frame
agree
of
with me.
things,
Yeah, you might agree with me, but every single song that's worth a damn that I've written was based or like inspired or caused in some way by some shitty experience, or something that I had to process in some bigger
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's just something about it, man. Like
yeah. I used to play in this band called Pony Empire, and
yeah,
the we had a woman singer also, and she's also the keyboardist and stuff. And she was a very happy-go-lucky person, and whenever she was writing music, it came actually like from a happy place. So me and her would always collide on that issue because I don't write from a happy place. Like
I don't.
it's
Yeah, it's weird.
it doesn't
It
happen for
doesn't
me. It's
come
always
to me.
no, no. When I'm happy, I don't write music. When I'm happy, I'm just enjoying that. And when I start writing music, it's usually because I need to process something. So, writing a song wasn't about really communicating those feelings to someone else more than
Interesting.
they were about just
Having an
living them and
outlet.
getting them out of my system and like
Yeah.
putting like a creative frame, like a corset
I
around
think
the
the word
pain,
you
kind of.
used, processing, is perfect because that's what it
Yeah,
is. It's
and
like it's a way
the
of like reflecting on it, on the stuff that happened, and like
yeah,
framing it in a different way, maybe. And
yeah,
what we do a lot of times as well when we're songwriting, right? There's this like at the end, it sometimes it goes positive, right? So it's like a shitty situation, but there's like a silver lining or something in the
yeah,
end that we.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's almost like a way of taking that shitty feeling and like processing it into something a bit more positive a lot of the time.
yeah. Yeah. Also, like a weird thing, I don't know if you had this, but doing shows and then talking to people after, and you were on the stage losing your mind, and people in front of you were losing their mind. Everybody having a good time or a bad time. I don't know, like just sharing a moment. And then people would come up to me and they're like, "Oh, this and this song and whatever, it means this and this." I'm like, "Nope." I won't say it, but like it's weird what people can get from your stuff, right? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I don't know, that's totally not what it was meant to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's
I
interesting
don't
you
know.
mentioned that because I think for me it's the same. I do it
Yeah,
because it helps me process stuff and it
yeah,
fulfills me. Not so much for like, hey, I want to cause a specific effect on people
yeah,
necessarily. Insofar as it does make people feel good in some way, that's awesome.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's a second thing.
That's always been like an issue with bandmates who were doing music to make money or
That's
have some kind
weird,
of
isn't
social
it?
status through
It's
it.
a weird
And they were
dynamic,
always
dude.
like, yeah, it's like, oh, the song needs to be like this because it'll sell, or the song needs to be like this, or the
Needs to
band
have
needs to
this
be like that
part.
because that's hip right now, and exactly that's gonna work. And I'm like, yeah, except I'm not making things to sell them, and I'm not I need it to be the way it needs to be out of the creative process, and
Yeah.
not because this band did that album and now that's selling and we want to go in that direction. That's not how I work. So yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
absolutely.
probably
And
why I never did anything major
yeah,
label
yeah.
stuff.
And by the way, people can check out your music at the link we posted there. And if you're listening in the
Mhm.
podcast, there will be a link in the show notes as well. But dude,
Yeah, that's like.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh,
No,
I
go
was
on.
just saying about the link. That's
Yeah,
like the singer-songwriter stuff I do. That's
right.
not like a big band combo or anything. That's just me playing guitar and putting some instruments over top, writing by myself or with my buddy Matt.
Cool, man.
That's
Yeah,
like that
I have
almost.
listened to those tracks. I think they're
Yeah.
pretty good. So I recommend people check it out. But going back to gaming, we had a question here from
Yeah.
Funny. Since you have a long past in gaming, what is a game you enjoyed the most, or that was the most special to you from each decade? So maybe we don't have to do each decade, but let's do in the last decade. If you think back, I guess since 2011 then, in that case.
When did Skyrim come out?
2008, is it? We'll have somebody fact check me on that.
Yeah.
The song he did a video of was brilliant. I remember that video. It was good. The video you did sing of that song.
Oh yeah.
That was,
Bible Belt. Yeah.
yeah, that was good.
I should post more content, but I just
Yeah.
swamped with work, so it's kind of
I
hard
like
to.
I like the way you sing it. It kind of reminds me of what I'm going for, which is like, well, first it's quite melodic, right? So it's not just, you see it a lot in metal music. What you sang wasn't metal, but I'm just saying you see a lot in metal music where
Yeah.
there isn't really a melody to it, right? You can't like
Yeah.
you can't whistle it out as a melody.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird
Yeah.
way to say it. It's a musician thing,
You
I
mean like
guess.
it doesn't have a hook?
Doesn't have a hook.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not like and people whistling it in the shower and stuff.
Right.
It's
So
just
for
like,
me, there's always like I need a thread of a melody there that like
Yeah.
that says something to me, and it did. And you have this like raspy thing as well that you put in, so a little overdrive in the voice, which I like, and and I do as well. It's very cool.
It's not really a matter of putting it in. It's just how my voice works.
Well,
Like,
it's interesting you say that because I had to like work a long fucking time to be able to do that. But you're saying it just kind of happened.
Yeah, it just does that. It took me like a really long time to find my singing voice. Like,
Yeah.
Going through different phases, trying to emulate what I was hearing, and like, oh, maybe it's like this, like a little bit more country twang in it, or like screaming like this, or doing that. And then when I came to do Death and Fiction, which is the acoustic singer-songwriter stuff I do, it's just my voice. Like I wasn't trying to do anything except sing a song, and then my voice just automatically does that, which is
just
it got less since I
naturally
stopped smoking,
raspy.
but
Yeah, that's good, man. Someone said Skyrim came out on 2011. Funny says. So there you go. That's a valid answer. Valid answer.
That's I've played that game pretty much on everything, even a fridge. Like I don't know why.
Have you actually beat it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Did you not?
No. Never.
The story's actually, if you push through it, it's pretty short.
I've never
Like,
been
if you
able
just do
to.
the main,
It always gets to a point where I'm like, dude, I gotta do something else. And then when I come back, my impulse is creating a new char. Like, hey, I want to do like a different build now.
Yeah.
But that's a trap. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the trap. I think I've played through the game like in total 3 times, but I swear to God, I've at least started 100 chars.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do a mage, but in this direction, and then with some sword, and and then I start doing it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember doing these quests the last 50 times, and then I get bored, and then I drop it again, right? But I keep coming
Yeah.
back to it a little bit, even now, even now a little bit, but not so much lately anymore. Um, Looking for the next game to grab me like that. It just,
It's tough, right?
y- yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I don't
also
think
where
there's
you're at in
anything in the
life.
horizon. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it too, man.
It's
A
gotta
lot
be
of the
the right
time,
situation,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
when Skyrim hit,
Mm.
I was, I think the bathroom was being redone at the place I used to live in, and, there was asbestos in it, so the landlord gave me, like, this crummy apartment all the way outside of town, so there was nothing to do, and I took my PlayStation 3, it was back then, and I was just sitting in this crummy apartment that I got issued, and I didn't feel like riding the bus like an hour and a half into town, so I would just like come home from university, toss that thing in, and just get lost in the world. And it was so fun. And that thing, just one more dungeon. It
Dude,
actually was
yeah.
like that. Like, I'm like, I need to go to sleep. I have exams tomorrow. Oh, look over there. Nah, I didn't see that thing before. Let's go check it out.
I'm just gonna round out this last thing before.
Yeah. 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 So good. So much fun. And I'm kind of waiting for the next game like that. Like Fallout 4 did that a little bit, and then after that, I feel like Bethesda and everyone else just dropped the ball on me. I
I
don't know.
can't stand. I just can't do another Bethesda game in that engine. It
Oh,
There's
please,
something
yeah.
about it. It's just
Ugh.
like you can only do so many of those games.
When I was playing Fallout 4, I was just moving between places, so I didn't have my PC set up,
Mm.
and I got it for the PlayStation, and I was at my ex-girlfriend's house, and I set it up there, and I started playing, and I was looking at it, I'm like, "The US is my HDMI cord not in right or something?" Like, I was looking at the cables, and I was, like, checking out the TV, I'm like, "Nah, it actually looks like this." It was so muddy, like, even compared to Skyrim, and
Yeah,
blocky and ugly, and I was just like, "Oh, crap. How do you make it worse?
yeah.
How do you
It
make it
was
worse?"
rough looking. I did like that game a lot, but it was
I did
rough.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, rough looking. And then when it came out for PC, well, no, it was out for PC. But once I got my PC set up, I'm like, yeah, here, rebuy. Somebody take the fucking PS4 version. Got it for PC, and then I had this gnarly micro stutter whenever I was strafing, and I strafe a lot in that game. And I was like, oh man. So I was dealing with the micro stutter and the weird frame drops they had in there, and shit like that bums me out because I spend a lot of fucking money on my setup.
yeah,
And then I want games to work because if I put
yes,
like 3 grand into my PC, make the game work. And I felt like it wasn't running smooth at all for me, and that bummed me out, and I had
yeah.
to
It was
tough
like
through it.
when we played Borderlands 3. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Initially, you had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Like it was frame locking and stuff for you at times, and as
Yep.
much as I personally enjoyed the game, you couldn't really enjoy it because it was like it was borked. We later came
Yeah.
back to it a bit, but we never really came back to it.
They patched it up a bunch, and
Yeah,
I think DX12 was what did the trick for me in the end.
yeah, but it's funny how like if you miss the boat on a game like that, it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
return, right? Like we
Well,
we could have
nobody's
played,
playing it, right?
but
Yeah.
like we could have just jumped in right at any moment and played, but it's like yeah, it's a bit not natural to.
Yeah. What happened was with Borderlands 3, what ended up happening is my wife and I got it on the PlayStation 4, so I was playing like the crappiest version pretty much you could get for your money, right? And I still had the most fun with it because I was playing it with my wife. And then those are the moments where I realize it's not about the graphics. I don't need to hang myself because I don't have a 380 Ti yet. Because if a game's fun and you're playing it with people that you actually like, you know,
Yeah,
it's a good time. You don't need 144 frames of pure fucking 4K, high def, everything
yeah,
perfect. Nah,
that's true.
it's fine like that.
Michelle says the Starfield game is confirmed to be with the same engine. Is it?
Oh God.
I mean,
Michelle, you're depressing the fuck out
that's
of
a
me.
disaster.
Don't do that. Let an old man dream.
Anyways, we'll see about that. But I wanted to talk to you about the topic of like game addiction a little bit, because I don't know if you've had this, but because you play these kind of games, right? Call of Duty, CS:GO.
Yes.
I think even MOBAs. Haven't you played MOBAs?
No, I haven't.
Haven't played MOBAs. But these like highly addictive, highly competitive, going back to it every day to get better, and like, you know, slagging dudes, being angry when you die, this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced this kind of like, I don't want to say addiction because it's kind of a nasty word, but like obsession with a game? Where you see yourself like returning every day, you almost like hate yourself for it, but you can't. You can't stop.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I wouldn't call it addiction in my case anyway. I believe there's people that, well, I know I actually did.
Oh yeah. There's levels to this.
Yeah. So I'm a social worker, right? So in my line of work, I do a bunch of. I've done a multitude of like things to addiction and also video game addiction. I'm not an addictive personality. That doesn't happen to me. Like, I even put down cigarettes or whatever, didn't touch them anymore. Just, you know, even my soother when I was little, I took it out of my mouth, gave it to my mom and said, take it, don't need it anymore, done with it. And that's how my brain works, but it's not how every brain works. But I am very, and you know this from playing with me, I am very competitive.
Yes.
And that's not, that's not a negative thing about me. I actually,
it's good and bad, right? Like a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's how you use it, how you frame it.
Exactly. I like it about me. I like being a competitive person. I like being in competition with people. That when Reg has a higher rank in anything, I can't go to sleep.
Yeah. And I bet the fact that I have a better graphics card still bothers you a little bit because the number of it is bigger.
Well, yes, the number of it is bigger. You paid a higher price point. And
I did. Yeah.
The only thing that keeps me going, Johnny, is I'm going to rub my 380 Ti in your face when I have it. So
it is a big win.
Yeah, I got the same way. Yeah, exactly. It's a big win, but it is incoming. So we'll talk then.
We'll talk then.
Call of Duty has this thing. You know, it's like, for me, it's like tennis. You just get better at it when you play it. You understand it more. You understand the weapons more. And I'm competitive, so I want to win. And that's, you know, frustrating sometimes when I have my ass handed to me by a 12-year-old who just has better reflexes because he's not 40 and maybe he's just a better player than me. That's fine. But I keep coming back because I refuse to lose.
Yeah.
I just come back and I practice
Well, I think
more.
It's interesting because I have that, but in a different flavor. For me, it's not about beating the 12-year-old kid as much as it is beating myself in the sense of like, you know, just like improving. So because
I think that's why,
and it's different. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think that's why you might be more into those roguelikes.
Right.
Because you play those against the system and then, you know, you get better and better and better than your last turn.
But for example, Dota 2 for me was the big one. Yeah. Right. So Dota 2, I have like 5,000 plus hours on it. And I won't say I was addicted, but I played like every day for, you know, years. And honestly, like it was so weird because even the times I won, I felt shitty about myself because, you know, there were always things that I could have done better, right? So I was always like actually pissed at myself for not doing better at those things. Yeah. The times that I won, a lot of times I would say like, well, you know, we had a better team overall. So almost like removing the merit from me, this like self-sabotaging thing, which I have gone, you know, past to some extent, but this was just how I felt it back then. Yeah. And I don't know.
I think if you want to be really good at something, that does need to happen a little bit, though.
I was gonna say that it's interesting you bring that up because I was gonna say that's kind of a good thing in some
Yeah.
way, because if you want to be the best at something, you gotta constantly like in some way shit at yourself or be very critical.
Yeah.
But you gotta
Yeah.
like frame it in a constructive way, I guess.
If you come in 50th place and you go, whoa, man, I came in 50, that's pretty good. And
Yeah.
you are where you're at. I come in 50th and I'm like, nah, I want to be, I don't know. It's not, I don't want to be unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be first place. But like, I'm going to push myself as much as I can, as long as it's worth it to me. Somebody earlier said, when we were talking about, I believe it was like, grinding or whatever, he said it's a waste of life, right? When we said you put this and this many hours, I don't
Right.
believe it is. Like, if you
No.
had a good time challenging yourself, and
Yeah.
then 5,000 hours is 5,000 hours well spent.
It
Like,
isn't any different than someone who plays chess or someone
Yeah.
who likes to watch TV on their free time. Technically, they
Exactly.
didn't produce anything tangible, but it's their free time, right? It's a hobby, isn't it? So I
If you're
think there's a
having
lot
good time,
positive
the time
there.
is not
Yeah.
wasted. Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if you're challenging yourself and you're getting mad at yourself, and
Yeah.
but you are doing it, in as a good sport, and you're
Hmm.
still, because I kind of enjoy that part of myself where I get mad at myself and then I force myself to play better, to be faster, to play guitar better. Like,
Right.
if I just played one solo and I'm like, well, that's not
I've made
complete
it. That's
shit.
it.
Yeah, it's not complete garbage. Done. Then that's not going to be a very good solo, right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you're going to write a song and you like put 2 minutes into, you're like, it's fine, right? And I mean, it's
No, you're
it's
absolutely
a
right.
song. It
Yeah.
might not be the song I want to write, though.
By the way,
Yeah.
Michelle challenges me to a match of chess in the I accept your challenge, Michelle. Add me on chess.com. Johnny plays live. It is on. But
Is that actually a thing?
that's a real thing, yeah. Yeah, I've been into chess, dude, in the last couple weeks.
Because of that Netflix show,
Maybe
the
that's
Rogue
part of
Gambit
it.
or whatever
Well,
it's
I watched
called,
it,
the Queen Gambit.
it's been a while since I watched it, but it's just I don't know exactly what caused it, but it's a great like game to get into.
Yeah, dude,
Stimulating, challenging.
in theory, right? For me, it is too. But like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna maybe get really good at chess, and then same thing happens with Magic's, like the card set. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna get really good at it. I play for 5 minutes, and I'm like, fuck this. Oh god.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
what-
if you keep your ambitions low for chess, that's fine. Like, just have fun with it,
yeah,
You can't really have the ambition of becoming like a GM, a grandmaster,
yeah,
because you didn't start at 10 years old like all of them, right? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's video games and singing and guitar for me. I
Yeah,
started early enough to
exactly.
hold my own, and then chess. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, I pick where I'm going to be competitive and where I'm not going to be
Right.
competitive,
Yeah.
right?
And
So chess,
the same
no,
thing with
that's not going to work out. Yeah.
with games, like, for you, with like shooter games, you already have your muscle memory in those, right? So you're
Exactly,
unlikely to all of a sudden become like a super I don't know, like a MOBA aficionado necessarily, since
yeah,
right, your life and blood has been lived in those games. For me, I'm more on the Dota 2 train, where I'm more likely to like be on that game if I return to something like that, rather than pick up a whole like new style.
And I remember you're quite the nose.
Sorry, you got cut out exactly when you said that.
Okay.
What was I?
I said you're quite MOs also. I was like, you're.
Yeah.
But Johnny needs gratitude when he heals.
That
You
was
just thank
actually
him.
a joke. I was never like a healer guy in Dota. I was like a middle player or a carry player, or like
Yeah.
But that was like a funny thing when we played ESO, where every time I healed, I as a joke
He required
validation.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah,
hey,
thanks for the heal, man.
acknowledgement of my heal. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly.
Well,
But to
I
be
always
honest,
found it
like,
funny because I had that thing with everyone who healed me. I made a point to like be nice to them,
yeah,
because it's a
exactly.
it's a cool thing. So
Nobody appreciates heals. Like, you
yeah,
can't even fucking do the dungeon without them.
right.
Really, you can't. They're so necessary. But I feel like, damage dealers and tanks get all the attention, and the heal's just like the bass player. The band's not going to work without him. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I can maybe
it's
name
like the
4 or 5
plumbing
bass
in your
players that
house.
I actually remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's the
like it's
plumbing in
the
your house.
plumbing in your
You need
house.
it.
As long as it's working
Yeah,
fine, you don't care about it. You don't mention it
exactly.
in a
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
It's like, whoa, by the way, my plumbing is great,
yeah.
right? It's working great. No,
I think I've pretty much only yelled at healers when they weren't doing their job.
right?
Like, where the fuck's the
That's the
heal at,
time you
man?
acknowledge them to
Why
shit on them.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I just shit on them,
Yeah.
and I never said, "Oh yeah, way to put the area of effect right in a nice space when I
Yeah.
was
Oh,
getting down.
very
That
good
really
timing on
did
that
it.
heel.
Yeah, it was
Primo.
super.
Yeah.
That felt super. Thanks, man. I probably would have gotten down to 20% there, but you really placed that well. No, that doesn't happen. I just yell at them when they're not doing it.
Yeah.
I tank, so I need them.
So how are things at work, man? Because last time we talked, you were like hating
Dude.
every minute of it.
Yeah, it's stressful. So let's stick to games and music, man. I
Yeah, it's
like
more positive. Do you
it's
ever
super
think
stressful
like,
at the
hey,
moment.
let's take the work to like part time and do some other side gig that you enjoy more? Oh,
I
Carrick is
think about
here.
it.
He says this dude
I
seems
think about
shady.
it. Yeah. I think about it, but then I just uh, I like having I like it. I like my job. I like the responsibility I have. I
Okay.
like getting better at it. It's the same competitive edge I have in gaming, so I just keep
Yeah.
pushing for more. Hello, Carrick. Hi.
I don't
I'm
think
not
we can
shady.
trust him. He said that's true.
Oh, really? I can sell him a skateboard though, actually.
Dude, speaking of Tony Hawk's, you mentioned it earlier. The remake was a slapper, dude. Right? I know you played it as well. Was a great
Is that a positive
remake.
thing for you, a
A
slapper?
slapper?
Is that
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like it
alright.
hit home, or like
Oh, alright, okay,
it
yeah.
struck gold
Um,
in some way. Yeah.
yeah. I played through the first one to 100%, did everything there is to do, and then dropped it like a hot potato because I was kind of burnt out on it. I tried to pick it up the other day and do the second part the same way, but because work's been so busy, I just haven't been in the right set of mind.
Yeah.
But now that you mention it, the week after next, I got a week off, and I think that might be the 100%, like that and the new katana sitting over there. So I'm gonna play through like
Oh yeah.
entire playthrough of Master of Puppets and an entire playthrough of Tony
Mandatory
Hawk.
Master of Puppets
Exactly,
playthrough.
mandatory Master of Puppets.
Yeah, we were talking about this. We're both big James Hetfield fans, and you
Dude,
bought the same amp that I just bought recently as well, the
yeah,
Boss Katana 2. Well,
yeah.
different wattage, but same thing, right?
Well,
Um,
I couldn't buy like you live like in the lowest ground like
ground floor.
apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. So the people below me would probably shit a brick if I bought the 100 watts. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
I like the switch that puts
I
it at
use it at
what
low volume still, mic'd up.
I have. I have this. This one has a 0.5 switch. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah.
yours probably does
Mine
too,
does
right? So
too.
it's like
Yeah.
I'll keep it at that, and I'll just
Uh huh. Yeah,
maybe
that's
wait
good.
for them to go on vacation, and then just like I have a half stack Houston Kettner in the other room. I'll just
Mhm.
put that up to 11 and blow the top
Ha.
off the building.
Yeah. Carrick says slapper sounds sexual. Well, it does now, doesn't it?
Well,
You've
yeah,
ruined it.
that's kind of what I was. I was trying to not make that reference, but since he brings it up, I was like, does it mean the game's so good you just had to handle yourself?
I
Like,
guess it is. Atomica, what's up?
real slapper.
I enjoyed these interviews. Thank you, Michelle.
Speaking of
I
slappers,
appreciate it.
man,
Great segue,
James Hetfield's downstroke. We got off the
bro.
Metallica topic, but dude, I got fucking wicked muscle ache in my lower arm because I'm just trying to hit the 2,000 BPM that guy's got fucking
It's
going
so
like.
crazy, dude. I remember
Down.
distinctly, as a teen when I started playing like semi seriously when I had some technique, right? Metallica was my like hail of no, how do you say this, like hall of fame. If I can play Metallica, I've made it, right, as a guitar player back then. And sorry, did I lose you?
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit. Now you're back.
We're
I can
back. Sorry
hear
about
again.
that. I was saying, as a teen, Metallica was my idol. I wanted to play like them, right? And when I started to be able to play stuff like Master of Puppets, I was like, I've made it. This is the dream, right? But then I realized there's a whole other layer to this cake, which is playing it like James Hetfield plays. Because I used to right, the way I played the song Master of Puppets originally back when I was a young teen learning, I was like, up and down, and also
Yeah.
like different fingering, right? So I was doing like hammer-ons for that initial section, and he of course does it like he hits every note in that downstroke. It's crazy.
And that's why I got the muscle ache, man. I'm just like,
Yeah, it's
it's
great.
it's painful, man. It's
Yeah.
painful. But you know what? It's progress, and that's the thing I was talking about, pushing yourself. Because every
Hmm.
day I sit down with it, I'm actually better than the last
Yeah.
day. Like even like for some reason, the first day it'll be like shitty, and then I'll practice, and it won't necessarily get better. But in my mind and the muscle memory, it's training, and then I'll go to sleep and go to work, and I come back home, and the next
Yeah.
day, the minute I pick it up, it's 50% better.
Dude, it's like a Dark Souls boss. You've had
Yeah.
this experience. You
Oh
die
yeah.
20 times.
Yeah.
Next morning, you're fresh. Your brain has like learned the
Regenerated.
patterns. Dude, it's incredible. It's like it's easy all of a sudden. And
It's
the
like
same
putting it
thing for
under
this
your
stuff.
pillow and sleeping on it.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's dude. Speaking of Souls, real quick, are you
Yeah.
planning? Did you play Neo 2?
I did. Yes.
Okay, because
Not.
I'm planning on picking it up for PC when it comes out. I didn't
Mhm.
play it on PS4. So
Are you
what are
asking
your
me for you?
thoughts? Does it have your blessing?
Well, okay, let's put it like this, right? When I play Souls, I play Sword and Shield, right?
Okay.
Um, and then I go to games like Bloodborne, and I don't have Sword and Shield, and I feel like I'm completely out of my fucking element, right? And then I'll go to games where it's Sekiro, and I need to parry, and I don't
It's a
have a shield,
disaster.
right? And that's kinda Neo for me. Like, I'm like, it's a good game. It hits the spot, definitely. It's super fun. It has an interesting co-op mode, which is why I was asking you to marry me, like, a second ago as a joke, because if you
Oh,
do get it, I might pick it up and then we could co-op it, because
oh,
that
let's
might
go,
actually
dude.
be fun. Yeah,
Let's do
because
it.
then I might actually play through it. This way, I just played it on my PS4 Pro a
Yeah.
bit, and, just kind of like after work, have my ass handed to me for about a week, and then I just kind of dropped it
Yeah, yeah.
because it is fucking
Get
tough, man.
wrecked
There's
every night after work.
every night, man. You just come home, and then they have these crazy ass zones that there's a smoke coming up, and you don't
Yes.
regenerate stamina in it, and you need to fucking do this move where you regenerate stamina, and it makes that smoke go away, and there's fucking demons spawning everywhere, and it's super stressful, right? Different from a Souls game. I
Yeah.
never felt super stressed in Souls game, and most people probably don't have that experience. But if you play them the way I play them, they're quite systematic, and there's not too many things that overwhelm me in those
I
games.
would agree. By the way, Jay, hello, welcome back. So the way I felt in Dark Souls games, 1, 2, and 3 was always like it's gonna be all right, no matter what
Yeah,
happens. Like I'll figure it out. But games like Bloodborne, Demon's Souls as well. But I guess Demons was my first, so it's mostly because of that. That feeling of dread and like, how am I gonna do this shit? And
yeah,
Sekiro kind of had that too because it was also out of my comfort zone, as you said. So I think Neo is gonna be tough as hell
all
for
right,
me.
listen. I got a Demon Souls story for you. So
Mm.
I still am living in Germany, but when Demon Souls came out, I was living in Germany, and I'm talking about Demon Souls dropping in Japan, right? So the game was not on the European market, but I saw it online. I'm like, holy fuck! Like just alone the aesthetics of it, I'm like, I have to play this fucking game.
Yeah.
Like, then I saw the sword play. I saw like, oh, dude, they had like the basic knight build going on, right? Like, I don't care about magic in those games,
Yeah.
man. Like I said, it's sword and shield for
That
me.
that would be
Even if
like the example I always give: going to McDonald's and order a salad. What are you doing, my dude? Right?
off, right? Who needs that? Anyway, so I order Demon Souls from Japan. Super expensive. I'm not even in university yet. Like, I don't have any fucking money at all. Um, so order that from Japan. Um, it doesn't get to my house, but it says it's been delivered, and I'm like,
Mm.
the fuck's going on? And then apparently the mailman put it in the yard somewhere under my grandma's garden shed, right? And I didn't know about this, so I wrote the company. I'm like, yeah, the game didn't fucking get here. I don't know why you're saying it was delivered. It was definitely not. And it was one of those deliveries where I had to actually pay the guy at the door to give it to me.
Oh,
And I don't know what the fuck he did, man, but he put it in my yard and he didn't ask for any fucking money and he just fucked off. And I was like, huh? And I didn't know the game was there and they wouldn't send me another one. And I was really pissed off. And then, like, 2 weeks later, my grandma comes in from the yard and she's like, I found this under the shed. I'm like, give me that fucking game. And then
dude, it was
I
like
realized,
because you thought you had lost it.
yeah. And then I realized, dude, the problem was like instructions were in Japanese.
Oh,
All the fucking writing was in Japanese. I
not
didn't
that
know
it
what
would
the
help to get instructions in that game, right? It's just
Yeah,
like,
but dude, if you can't even tell what the stats on the weapons are and shit, I was completely lost. And then if you're like that was the first Souls type game, right? So
bro, the
I didn't know
text
it's
in the game was in Japanese.
yeah, the actual like I was trying to play it and I'm like the fuck they patched it later. Later on you got a patch for it and I actually fixed it. But when
Oh,
I got it, it was in Japanese and they delivered like a little piece of paper with it that explained what some of the things were and the stats on them. And I was like,
shit.
"Oh, okay." And then I played like the first level and I wanted to keep going, but once you know these games, you
Yeah.
have to switch around between the levels, right? It's
Uh
like,
huh.
well, what I do is 1-1-1, 1-2-2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, and then come
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I was a baby. My
Dude,
soul
me
was still
neither.
cold. Never
Bro, I was
played
so
a game.
innocent. I went into the second level immediately. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so, like, as you unlock the next level, I went into it instead of doing the first level of other places. And
Yeah,
I got my shit kicked in so badly.
yeah,
I didn't know games could do that to you.
exactly. And you need to learn that element of frustration, and I hadn't learned yet, so that
You are
pissed
like
me
some
off.
of those levels, you are actually the weakest thing in the level. Like even the weakest skeleton in one of those fucking levels
Yeah,
swings
even
faster, hits harder than you. It's so
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, dude. I mean, I got the PlayStation 5 sitting back there. You can probably see it, right? So
Yeah,
I that game's the reason I got it early on because there was nothing to play on PlayStation 5 right now. Sorry if
right.
somebody's like, oh, well, you got the Halo, not Halo, you got Destiny 2 remake on there right now. Yeah, fuck off, right? So
Right.
for me, like, right, Bug Snacks, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
But
So
the Demons
anyway,
remake, right? Pretty dope.
yeah, man, the Demon Souls remake. But still, man, to this day, those fucking Cthulhu-like motherfuckers with the tentacles coming out the face
Oh,
that do that ground attack and then shoot you with the lightning.
bro.
Oh, they suck so much. They suck so much. To this day, I've beaten them 100 times, but oh man, still haunts me.
Yeah. But so the remake gets your seal of approval?
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Dude, that is how a remake has to look. That's how a remake has to feel. Like it brings back everything that was amazing about that game and it just builds on top. And when I put it in and started it up, like I had already played Miles Morales and was like, "Nah, I mean it's okay, right?" But
Yeah.
it didn't blow my top off or anything. But when I put that in, even on the 1080 TV, I was playing
Dude.
it, which is behind me. I didn't want to switch it over. I was too lazy to put it on the big one in the living
Ah,
room. I was like, God damn. Like, it just looked so sharp and nice compared to PlayStation 4 and the
yeah.
Pro. Like, I play on my PC at 1440, right? So I'm used to that, but it just looked really crisp on the PS5. The atmosphere is right. Everything about it is right. What kind of I didn't like so much is, coming from Dark Souls 3, which in my opinion has the best combat in the
Agreed.
series, obviously. It
Yeah.
built up to that point,
Yeah.
and that's just where everything comes together and it's big tennis. Demon Souls was like a step back. I mean, obviously it was the first one, right? But they kept the
Yeah.
original combat system, and it just feels like a little plain compared to where Dark Souls went after in the
Yeah, I
three
think that's
installments,
fair.
right?
And they did want to preserve some of the jankiness. They did say like, "Hey, we
Yeah,
want it to feel like the original in a lot of ways."
yeah,
But yeah,
that janks
As
there.
Jay says, it's honestly one of the best remakes I've seen. Obviously for me, Final Fantasy VII is like the one that for me was the best because
Yeah.
I like that game. But we've had some
Mhm.
really good ones just in the last year. I think some of the Resident Evil stuff is good too.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you that. Resident Evil 2, yes,
Yes.
good remake
Yeah.
because it like built. That's the thing. Again, it took everything that was great about it and it built on top, right?
Yeah.
And Resident Evil 2 was a different thing than Resident Evil 2 used to be, and that's how I think they should be. Like, Kingdoms of Amalur, what the fuck? Like, you want $40 for that? Really?
The
Like,
reimagining launching, right?
yeah, it's just most of the remakes kind of feel like a cash grab to me, and I'm not a big fan of the whole thing. Like, even though I loved Skyrim, I played the remaster remake game of the year super duper edition. And I was like, I don't know. You put some tweaks on your old version of it on the PC and it looks just as good. So it
High
didn't blow
res
me away,
pack.
but
That's it.
yeah, exactly. Put that in there and you're done, right? Like I don't need to buy the game again. And there's been so many fucking remakes. I just feel like that's kind of what happens when you run out of ideas, but you want to keep making
Yeah,
money. So
yeah.
you're like, let's rehash some old shit, put a new
It
skin
does
on it,
feel
and
like
sell
that
it.
sometimes.
It does a lot of the time, but I didn't have that feeling with Dark Souls,
Yeah,
Demon Souls, sorry, and I didn't have that feeling with Resident Evil 2 at all. Like
I agree.
same things, made the game great, but so much put on top of it, and that was awesome. Yeah.
All right, and on that note, let's wrap it up. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about we didn't get to before we
No,
wrap
no,
it
I
up?
was actually just looking at the time and thinking we don't want to leave Reg
We did an
without
hour.
golf.
Yeah, we have a date with Rejaku, of course, to play some golf, and Vermintide 2 coming up right after this. So, dude, let's take a short break. Let's take like a fiver. We'll take a 5 minutes. I'll crack open a cider, and we'll get Rejaku on the line as well. So we'll be right
All
back,
right.
everybody.
Bye-bye.